Film Pulse is supported by the kind donations from listeners like you. Please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/filmpulse for just $1 a month and help keep the podcast on the air. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 252. My name's Adam Patterson. I'm joined today by Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
I'm pretty good.
This week on the show, we'll be talking about Carson D. Mell's Another Evil, which is now available on video on demand. We have a topic of the week to discuss alongside someone we've been watching on the watch list, along with a roundup of new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Remember, you can join in on the conversation by sending us an email at podcast@filmpulse.net or sending a tweet to @filmpulsenet. I think we can just safely jump into our review. What do you say?
Right.
Did you see, just really quickly, the results of the French elections are in? Did you see that?
I did. Yeah.
So, some good news for once, I think.
Indeed.
Thank God we don't have another
We don't have a lady.
terrible leader in the world.
Everyone's doing it right, making us look.
Well, a lot of people are theorizing. That the people of France looked at this election that we had, and we basically made an example of it.
Well,
and we're like,
just take a look too of the way that the French press and everything handled the Macron leaks.
oh yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention.
Is they were just like, fuck that.
Yeah,
I'm not
they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to fuck with this election.
Yeah. And with America, you have 278 different goddamn political websites that are all trying jockeying for position, so they'll cover anything and everything.
Yep. Well, let's cover some movies.
Let's do that. That's what we do, I think.
We get to the hard-hitting core of society.
We dabble.
With film.
Dabble.
So we're talking about Another Evil. I have a synopsis here. After encountering a ghost in his family's vacation home, Dan, a modern artist, and his wife, Mary, hire an industrial-grade exorcist named Oz to get rid of the beings. But Dan soon realizes that ridding the home of evil won't be as simple as it seems. Kevin, what did you think of Another Evil?
Man, I was pretty into this early on. It hooked me. And I was like, hell yeah, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I've been missing. I could use a good horror comedy type deal, right? Mm-hmm. It had my nice blend of, the comedy that I like. It had, when it gets you with that first kind of like a jump scare, but the first time that you see like one of these ghosts or spirits or whatever it is, there's some creativity there, and it freaked me out. And I was like, oh shit, yes, here we go. And then it just ignored me for the longest time and just didn't really do much of anything. And then it kind of tried to ramp it up towards the end there, but I don't know, that ending felt a little flat to me. I really thought that they were building towards something because we weren't really doing much up until then. And I was like, okay, they're going to build to this like huge crescendo. And it's just going to be all out insanity. And I got to admit, like, part of it was from what I saw in the first, 15 minutes or whatever it was. And the poster for this movie where it's kind of this like head with all this shit hanging from the mouth and stuff. And I was just like, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be batshit insane. And I keep, I'm hanging in there. I'm like, just hang in, Kevin. It's going to get batshit insane. I can feel it. It feels like it's going to go that way. But it just didn't.
No.
It felt, it's an all right movie, but it was kind of disappointing. It was unsatisfying.
Yeah, I will agree. It's definitely a slow burn, and the finale didn't really wow me either. I wasn't that impressed with how it ended particularly. The one poster is really good, the one that you mentioned with the mouth with the like tendrils.
Yeah.
And then the other poster is really bad.
Yeah, which is what I didn't understand. Like when I can't remember what podcast it was. I don't know if it was the last one we did or the one before that, where you kind of brought it up, and I saw the poster that you're talking about where, it's terrible looking. I mean, this looks like it has absolutely no budget, and it's made with non-actors. And I just, when I saw that poster, I was just like, really? Oh God, this is not going to be good. And then I read a little bit about it and stuff, and I was like, okay, it's just, I guess they're going for a little bit of comedy with that poster. They're trying to make it look like a bad film, I guess. I don't know.
I would say that it is more of a comedy than a horror. The horror elements are very, very sparse.
Oh, they're
in fact, most of the movie you're just trying to figure out if this Oz character, Mark Proksch, if he's just a fraud. Like you don't really know if he's even the real deal or if he's just some sort of sad, broken man that is, basically a charlatan.
Yeah.
And then it's really interesting because then like something happens where I don't think this is a big spoiler, but they discover that there's more than one ghost haunting their house, and he supposedly captures the first one. So then they're on this high, and then it sort of develops into, it reminded me of Cable Guy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Where this kind of eccentric character just won't seem to leave Steve Zissou alone because he himself is going through some major shit. He's getting a divorce and he's got all these problems, and he's just really craving. I mean, I feel like he's a really lonely guy, and he's just craving this companionship, and he's just taking everything a little bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like that dynamic in movies. I liked it in Cable Guy. I liked it in this, but
I liked in this one too that the beginning stages of that. Steve Zissou he's on board too. He's like, yeah, this is kind of cool. He's getting a break from his family, and he's getting to kind of lead this like bachelor life where, they're drinking and they're catching ghosts. I mean, that sounds great. I would enjoy a weekend of that, of catching ghosts and drinking. That sounds awesome.
yeah.
So he's right on board. Like you said, they're coming off the high of catching the first one, and he's learning about ghosts and how to catch them and what you need to do. And it's all super interesting and everything. And then it kind of, like you said, he's a sad man, and he's really amped up on this. Like, I'm getting a friend out of this. And of course he takes it a bit too far. But during that stretch too they spend so much time on that with there's humor bits here and there, but there's not a lot because a lot of the humor that was there in the beginning, it kind of drops off.
Yeah, I would say it is pretty light on the comedy as well.
Yeah, and all the horror stuff is gone. That's just out the window, or I should say in the 3 boxes. It's just there's no horror for a large stretch of this movie, and you're just like, okay, what are we really doing now?
Right. And I feel like it would have benefited from more kind of supernatural occurrences taking place to sort of make them to sort of reestablish the fact that they are up against an actual entity here, and just to sort of keep them in line, because it like you said, at one point the ghosts just kind of disappear, and you're just like left with these 2 guys in this house, and Steve Zissou he does at one point try to get rid of him, but if in order for this thing to work, there would have to be at least something to keep them going.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there wasn't enough there to keep us going with them as well.
Yeah, and even if you're going to have the horror elements just completely drop off where there's no really interaction with the ghost, at least keep the comedy. Can we at least keep some comedy? But to me, it seemed like the comedy dropped off too.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely took a darker, more serious tone after Oz started acting way more clingy and creepy. That's where the comedy sort of dropped off. And see the way that it's structured, at the beginning you have Steve Zissou's his character encountering these spirits. So he knows right off the bat that this isn't just something fake. So it'd be one thing if the entire movie you were feeling like, is this house even really haunted? Is this for real? What's going on here? But we know, and they establish right off the bat, that indeed there is his spirit here. There is something going on in this house. We've seen it. He sees it. Everybody knows that it's happening.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have that kind of guessing game where you're like, oh, who's the real evil one here? Is it these ghosts or is it this Oz character?
Yeah.
You know,
because Dan Baggerville tells you right off the bat. I mean, he gives you a rundown of what's going on with these ghosts, and he seems pretty. He seems like he's pretty confident of his reading.
What did he call them? Ambivalent?
Yeah, they're
they're just ambivalent. They're good ghosts. And I like how they just let that go. They're just like, okay.
And I love how he kind of points it out to him, like, you should actually be really happy. This is really special. It's something that you get to share in the house with these ghosts. That, I mean, one of the ghosts is, there's something there that we don't really ever find out, and no one really remarks on either. Like, why is half of his face missing and replaced with tendrils, bleeding tendrils? Like, that seems like something that we should discuss, or maybe
that's what I was
trying to figure out.
That's what I was confused about. There's one scene where he encounters one in his bed, and it has this kind of thing coming out of it.
It's
like,
gotta be, and of course it's like some sort of like viper penis thing.
It's like a tentacle or something coming out of it. But was that because they kept calling it a she, like it was a woman ghost? Was that the woman ghost? Because it looked like a guy.
Yeah, I never really understood either, because the first ghost that you see is just a normal looking woman just wandering the house. And then the next guy, the bottom half of his face is missing. It's replaced with bloody tendrils. And then out of nowhere, I guess another ghost just like stumbled into the house, and he's got like a viper tentacle thingy for a penis. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what confused me, because they kept saying that it was an old woman, but I was like, it didn't look like an old woman. It looked like a guy in the bed.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So I was a little confused as to how many apparitions there were. Which one, like, did they actually catch the mouth tentacle guy in the box? Because I think he didn't
he shows up later.
Does he show up later? Is he the one that gave did the thing at the end?
Yeah,
I couldn't remember if it was the woman that did that at the end or if it was. So maybe they probably didn't catch anything.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they just caught the normal looking woman that just wanders around. She just stumbled on a box.
One of the things I like the most about these movies, and I'm going to talk about this again later in the watch list section, because I saw another movie called A Dark Song that deals with this as well, is I like the procedural aspect of it. I like all the different strange little traps and gadgets he has. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that.
It starts off so strong, because when they call in, they have the encounters, right? There's kind of the Steve Zissou encountering the ghost, and it's kind of incremental. And to me, that worked really well, because when he finally sees the apparitions, it's like, oh shit. It kind of catches you. And then Dan Baggerville shows up, and he does his reading, which, is pretty funny. He's a pretty funny guy.
It is, yeah, that was funny.
And then, he ends up going and meeting with Steve Little, who gives him the name of Oz. And then when Oz shows up and does all of his, he gets out all of his gadgets and everything he's going through, all that is hilarious, where he's kind of, I just love his attitude to the ghost when he's, where he kind of points out, like, oh, the paint on the wall, they did that. And he's like, of course they did, fucking assholes. Just the fact that he thinks ghosts are assholes.
Yeah, he was a funny character, and that was the one of the reasons I wanted to watch this, is because I think that he's a really funny actor.
And then it seems like as soon as they catch that first one, they suck all the life out of the movie.
I like the one scene when he was setting up the one. He's like, and Steve Zissou was like, I don't want to participate now, and he's like, are you sure, dude? This one uses magnets.
And I love his second one with the lights, the strobing lights and everything. He turns off the lights and it's playing like the house music. He's like, that's gonna make me sick.
He just turns it off and leaves it. Yeah, I liked all that stuff, and I did want more of that kind of just weird goofball ghost catching stuff.
Yeah.
And I just with the finale, I just don't know if I really bought it. Like, I just don't know if I really bought that it could go where it went.
Yeah, I mean, it's, somewhat I can because you see, I think he at that point in time maybe he's trying to prove himself to himself, but also to um, Steve Ziss's character. You know,
And I know, well, at
you
first,
know what I mean. Like if he's able to cleanse this house, if he's able to pull this off, then they're gonna be best buds forever.
well, and also like at first when he sort of made his discovery, I thought that that was like legit, and I was like, oh man, this is actually kind of cool because it's tying into a conversation they had before and the type of artwork that he does and all of this stuff. And I was like, oh man, that's going to be really cool if they kind of tie it all together. But they where they go with it was, I was like, oh, okay, all
Yeah,
right, I understand.
yeah. It kind of got familiar at that point in time. It's just like, oh, okay, this is how it's gonna play out. And again, at that point in time, you're just like, okay, I have, I'm about 98% sure how it's gonna go from here. And guess what? I was 100% right.
Yeah, I was too. Overall, I know I have a lot of criticisms with it, but overall, I don't think it's a bad film. It was just a little disappointing for me, especially in the latter,
Yeah,
especially the final act.
well, and especially considering it starts off so strong.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you get, I mean, for me at least, I, I was right there, like, okay, this is gonna be one of those surprises of the year. I'm gonna end up loving this fucking thing. I can feel it. And then it didn't reciprocate, you know.
yeah. I think it was also a very ugly film. I didn't think it looked good at all.
Oh, really? I mean, I thought there was a couple of things
Yeah,
that I think he did a good job of capturing like the geometry of the house and some of the framing and stuff. But
well,
outside of that, I mean, yeah.
yeah. I didn't think it looked good from a technical perspective. Like I don't know what kind of cameras they were using, but it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't look great to me.
And I just the main thing that I kept thinking was Oz isn't digging deep enough for any of the things that he's doing. All the stuff that he's trying to bury, he's not digging deep enough.
Shallow graves.
It's just like Oz. I don't know. I think you want to bury that box deeper. You know what I mean?
If it really is a demon, if
Yeah,
it's an
and if you
actual
yeah,
demon,
and if you're saying don't let it touch your body, which he touched it a lot, putting the thing around it. So I don't know if maybe like there's residue, like demon residue that's got in his pores, maybe, and maybe that's what's affecting him.
maybe, or maybe it's that he's an alcoholic because
He
that
does
that
like
is definitely a factor. I think.
yeah, he does like to drink. But I think after a certain point in time, if you're dealing with demons, catching demons and stuff, I would be surprised if you weren't drinking all the time.
Well, I think that that is definitely a kind of a through line that in a lot of these types of movies and shows where there's like the kind of troubled soul who's the demon hunter or the ghost catcher, but they're
Yeah,
always like alcoholics or have drug problems or something. They're always
sure.
very tortured
Yeah, and I think
individuals.
they always kind of throw that in as like the misdirect.
Could
You
be,
know,
yeah, yeah,
do we really trust this guy? Because Dan Backdahl, that guy, it seemed like he was full on yoga, gluten free,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh my god, I loved his communications with you just hear him yelling and he comes back down in the living room, he's just drenched in sweat. And I love his Arizona iced tea tall boy that he's chugging while he's checking out the house.
His shirt. I love that he's wearing the cutoff, no
Uh,
sleeve, no sleeve
yeah.
cutoff,
You,
sweatpants.
I'd say this is still worth a look. I would say give it a look. It's
Yeah,
like $7 to rent on Amazon.
just lower those expectations a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. All right, what are you gonna give Another Evil out of 10?
I'd give it like a 6.
All right, I'm gonna go with a. I'm sitting between a 5.5 and a 6 on this one, somewhere around there.
I was really hoping for this, like, you know, balls to the wall crescendo at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I really thought that they were working towards that because they were taking such a slow burn effect, you know, approach to it. And I thought, oh man, it is gonna get out of control because you're gonna have the demons and you're gonna have the straight up ghost assassin losing his mind. You know, it's gonna be it's gonna be a clusterfuck.
That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for just this crazy all-out brawl.
That's what I was. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's another Evil. Again, that is on VOD platforms right now. Let's move on and then go into our watch list. This is going to segue into a topic I wanted to discuss this week. I wanted to talk about a video game I played this week. And for those of you that listen to the show, you may know that I'm a pretty avid video gamer as well as a movie buff. I like to play some video games from time to time. And one game that I played earlier this week struck me in such a way that I felt the need to review it on the website. So I actually wrote a review of this. I have only written maybe 2 or 3 video game reviews on the website. I try to really stay on focus with the site and keep things to the world of cinema, but sometimes a game will come out that I feel blurs the lines to such a degree that a film site can talk about it. And the game that I played is called What Remains of Edith Finch. And it is a sort of an interactive narrative about this girl who goes back to her family home after many years and sort of goes through the empty house. And as she goes through and explores the house, we learn about the troubled past of her family. And the way that the method of storytelling is so unique and so special that it grabbed me in such a way that like I was just blown away with how it was presented. So you go from room to room and area to area, going through the house, and you find like little objects from the past and different relics from different family members. And as it turns out, this family, the Finch family, is sort of cursed, where every person in the family has died in a tragic way. And as you discover like diary entries and different things from each family member, you are essentially transported into the last moments of that person's life. And you play out the last moments in that person's life, and you learn how they died. And each family member, they died at different ages and stuff. Like one of them, for example, was she was a teenager. She was like 16. And the way that the story is presented, it's like a comic book where it's like an old issue of Tales from the Crypt, where you have like the crypt keeper narrating the story, and it goes from like panel to panel, but you're playing as the girl, and it turns into this kind of horror story about how she was killed. And then another one, you were this, I think he was like maybe 10 or 12 years old, and he's on a swing set, and you push him on the swing set, or like you're controlling him, you know, pumping his legs on the swing set, and something terrible happens to him. And then another one, you're a baby. You're a very, very tiny infant in a bathtub, and you're playing in the bathtub, and something terrible happens to this baby. So it's a very emotionally charged game. I mean, it's like,
oh God,
it is heavy, dude. It is a heavy game.
I don't know. Like,
but the way,
as a person, like for me, video games are still essentially escapism for me. So I don't know if I could get into that. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to play a video game. Like let me quest and find some coins. You know?
Yeah. But I think that this game, so it's about you can play it in one sitting, and I would encourage you to play it in one sitting. It's about 2 hours long, I would say. Okay. And so you can get through it in just about the time it takes you to watch a movie. And it is incredibly sad and very emotional, but at the same time, the storytelling is so powerful in it that I just came away just kind of with, you know, my jaw on the floor with this game. It's so incredible. And how each one is so different. Like each story, each person that you learn about, is the way that they tell the story is so wildly different. Like there's another one where I think he's like in his 20s maybe, and he has this kind of menial labor job at a cannery. And in his story, you're doing his job where you're basically cutting off fish heads using a machine, but he has this very active imagination and he loves video games. So as he's doing this menial job, he starts imagining this fantasy world that he lives in that's very much like a video game. So you're doing, like, on using the controller, like on the right stick, you're doing cutting off the fish heads. But as he starts to get lost in his own imagination, like this world starts to develop on like the left side of the screen, and it starts to take over the table that has the fish heads on it, and you start playing this game, which is basically just walking through like this courtyard and stuff that's this developing fantasy world using the left stick. So you're basically doing this menial task in one hand, and in the other hand you're kind of playing through this like fantasy game. And it's just, as I was playing, I was just like, this is so incredible to develop something like this. And there's a lot of games like this, like Gone Home is another very popular one that, you know, they kind of use the pejorative term walking simulator for these types of games where there's no fail state, so you can't lose in the game. You just kind of experience the narrative. It's on a fairly linear path. It's not like you can make choices or anything like that. It's, you know, very much scripted.
Yeah.
And I think that some people have a problem with games like that, but for me, I think that it enhances some of these stories, and it just giving you that level of immersion is something that's pretty great. And to your point of it being escapism, I will agree. For most of the time, I do want to play games just to sit back and have fun, and, you know, like the Mario Kart for the Switch came out, and I've been playing that with my wife and having a lot of fun with that. But I think that there's room for both. And I think that escapism is one thing, and then I look at it like I'm sitting down to watch a movie.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I can get into those types of things, but just you telling me that I'm playing a baby in a bathtub and that something bad happens, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for it. I don't know if I'm going to go quite that far. Like, let's keep it at maybe like adult. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like Gone Home is probably a good middle ground to that. Like, Gone Home is a very emotional story, but it's not that dark. And if you want to go even darker, you could play something like that Dragon Cancer, and that's even heavier.
Yeah.
But
I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, stuff happening to adults is something that I could be like, okay, they're all adults here.
Sure.
They can comprehend what's going on. Not like, oh, I'm a baby. Cool. How's this going to end?
I think that if you were to sit down and play What Remains of Edith Finch, I think you would come away from it being really impressed. I think that you would find it to be a very impressive story.
I mean, I can tell you right now that I definitely want to check it out just out of a, you know, curiosity. It sounds very interesting.
Yeah, and I think that you'll appreciate the art style and the way in which it tells the story and the varied ways in which it tells the story, because it's really creative in how it delivers these different story elements. And it's a good story too. It's really deep, and, you know, it's like, even though it's only 2 hours, like, I wanted to spend more time there. I wanted to explore the house more because there's so many nooks and crannies, and there's like hidden passageways and stuff in the house, and there's all this really cool stuff. It's such a detailed little kind of microcosm that was created in this game. But it was interesting because I wanted to talk about the game, and I wanted to talk about the sort of blurred lines that that's happening right now in the world of video games, comparing it to cinema, comparing it to movies, because we're seeing more and more of these narrative-driven games come out that are increasingly sort of blurring the lines between movie and game. And I found out, I was listening to another podcast this week, and I realized, and I heard they were talking about, there's an article that came out in The Atlantic last week that said, the title of it was "Video Games Are Better Without Stories." This was written by Ian Bogost, and his hypothesis is basically that video games should stick with not telling a story. So the subtitle of this, or the subheading, is "Film, Television, Literature all tell them better, so why are video games still obsessed with narrative?" And it's an interesting article, it's an interesting viewpoint, but I got to say that I I disagree with almost every point that he makes. He does mention What Remains of Edith Finch, and I'm sure that was kind of the spark that made him want to write this article. And he talks about other games like Gone Home, and he talks about BioShock and other really story-heavy games. But I have to disagree with almost everything he says in this.
I also want to point something out just in the subheading, because I'm sure, when film came out, I'm sure you could have wrote an article that said literature tells it better. So why is film so obsessed with narrative?
Yeah.
And then when television came out, they're probably like, what I mean? Yeah, you can say that for television and film. I'm sure that there was numerous people that said that when they first came out, when they're first introduced.
Right, and that's the biggest argument to make, is that you look at the medium of video games, and not only is it so much newer than something like movies or TV, but the technology has just gotten to the point within the last couple decades where you can actually tell a coherent and meaningful story. I mean, one could argue that some games for like Nintendo did have a story to them,
yeah,
and maybe it was a deep story, but by and large, games that would come out in the 8-bit era didn't really have the technical prowess to be able to get into a really deep, meaningful story. But now we're finally getting to the point in technology where we can play What Remains of Edith Finch and be transported into this world, and it feels real and lived in, and we can experience this really heartfelt, tragic story through the eyes of this young woman. And I think that that's a great thing that we're doing, and I think that it's counterintuitive to publish an article kind of saying that they shouldn't be doing this, because I think that they should be. I think that they need to keep doing this because it's only going to get better. I think stories are going to get deeper, they're going to get more meaningful, and they're going to become more cinematic. Now, I don't think that every game should be cinematic. That's not what I want at all.
You want to have a balance of everything, which is
exactly.
It's still just like, what is even, because I tried reading this, you sent it to me, I'm like, hey, I want to talk about this on the show. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to read it. I couldn't finish it. Like, I don't understand the point. Like, what if you have a new medium, right? And there's people trying things. Why in God's name would you want to essentially hamper experimentation?
Exactly.
You have no idea what these people are going to stumble upon when you let artists just have at it, full reign,
exactly.
do what you want to do. You have no idea what's going to come out of it. Yeah, you're going to get some shit. You're going to get some middle of the road stuff, but you might get some incredible stuff where you're like, you know what? I didn't even know that was fucking possible. So I just don't understand. Like, the first thing that I thought when I opened this up, and I'm just like, you have that many words for this. Like, you sat down and wrote this many paragraphs.
Yeah. And a lot of the articles talk about games like BioShock that use audio logs and things like that don't aid in. I think that what he's saying is by video games trying to incorporate stories that they themselves are hampering the gameplay of the game itself. And again, that's something that I completely disagree with. A lot of games these days use supplemental information to add to the story where it's a completely optional thing. You get, you find log files in a game or audio recordings or something like that, and they're optional. The player can listen to them if they want a more enriched experience, or they can decide that to not listen to them all or listen to them later and continue with the main progression of the storyline. And I think all of that stuff is great because in a lot of ways, I feel like that adds another dimension to a narrative that a movie can't do. A movie is you sit down, you watch it, and it goes from point A to point B. Typically you have your 3-act structure and that's it. But with a video game, you can add these extra layers and pieces to it that help develop the game world in ways that movies can't do. I'm not saying that one medium is better than the other, of course, but it's just different. And I think that a lot of these developers are coming up with different ways in creating these worlds. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think that any one medium is better or worse than another.
because you're gonna start seeing them meld together with the advent of virtual reality.
Oh yeah, and VR is just it's a whole new that's a whole new thing too. Like I don't I can't recall if the article touches on that at all, but
I can't wait for that too. Where it's like, in a couple of years, video games, film, television, and literature, I'll tell them better. So why are virtual reality still
I know
obsessed with
it's just like
narrative?
a whole yeah, it's just like I mean, come on. Like I don't understand why you could shit on new media like that. Like I mean, I guess that is sort of hypocritical for me to say because I think that some things in new media, like Vine, for instance, like when Vine came out, I was just like, come on, that's stupid, you know?
I was the same way too, and then I saw a decent amount of vines. Some good vines. That's what I'm saying. Where you're like, you know what? There's gonna be shit. It's like any
Right, and
other media.
yeah,
There's
and
gonna be shit. There's gonna be middle of the road stuff, and there's just gonna be some stuff where you're like, damn, that's impressive. To be able to do, in the confines of Vine, to be able to grab me like that.
there was yeah,
I mean,
it
Sylvia
kind of
would
sucks
be.
that Vine's gone because I remember when it was in its last days that I saw some post that I can't remember the site that was like a collection of some of the best Vines, and some of them I was just like blown away with.
Well,
It
that's
was
the new Kentucker Audley movie, the Silvio. That's one of
oh
Vine's
yeah,
series
mm-hmm.
where he just did Vines.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, I gotta disagree with this stuff. And there was this one part where he says, "quote Are the resulting interactive stories really interactive when all the player does is assemble something from parts? Are they really stories when they are really environments? Are they really stories when they are really environments?" I don't understand that. And most of all, are they better stories than the more popular and proven ones in cinema, on television, and in books? On this measure, alas, the best interactive stories are still worse than middling books and films. That I completely disagree with. I don't understand how you can possibly say that the best interactive stories are still worse than middling books and films.
Yeah,
Like, to me, that's utterly ridiculous. And that just shows that you don't have
I don't think he's
enough
seen.
grasp on either medium to
I don't that then I gotta wonder how many middling films has he seen,
exactly.
because middling films are fucking tedious. Because you know what? I can't do shit. At least when I'm playing a game, I'm engaging with
Right.
something. If it's a middling film, I'm just sitting there going, Jesus Christ, when is this over?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think in the end, I just with video games, there's more immersion there, and I think that a lot of developers capitalize on that immersion. When I'm playing a video game, I'm playing as the central character. I'm interacting with the environment, and while the story may be predefined, it feels like it's my story. I feel like I'm telling the story, even though it's all laid out ahead of time. It feels personal to me, and I think that that's one thing that video games can do that a lot of movies can't do, and I think that that's something that they need to continue to develop and make some really great stories out of it. So let us know what you think. Send us an email, podcast@filmpulse.net. Let us know your thoughts on the blending of cinema and video game, what you think. Kevin, what have you been watching this week?
A bunch of short films. Pretty much all short films.
That's like your thing now. Soon you're just not going to watch any features at all.
I
You're
mean,
just going to be short
getting
film
there.
Kevin.
Now, okay, I tried watching some stuff on Fandor. Fandor doesn't work for me right now, so I'm in the process of trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with Fandor. That's the kind of stuff that I come up against. That I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and do. That's why I'm kind of steering towards the short films now, where I know that they're gonna be okay. It's gonna be 8 minutes, and I'm gonna just get in and get out, move on with my life. None of this shit where I jump on Fandor and I try and watch a movie. I get, an hour and 30 minutes into the damn thing. And then the last 10 minutes, you know what? It takes 55 minutes to try and watch that shit because of buffering and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for that. I can't do it.
I feel your pain. I
Can't do
feel
it.
your pain.
One that I checked out here is, I think this is up your alley. And I actually wanted to text you and tell you to watch it. It's a short film on No Budge called White and Lazy. All right. This is a 19-minute short film shot on 16 millimeter. So it's got the look for you.
Yeah.
You're gonna love the look.
I love me some 16 millimeter.
Okay. Now let me tell you that it takes place in 1991.
All right.
So you
I'm
got the
already on
nine.
board,
You
so
got
you
the
can stop
90s
there,
aesthetic.
but go ahead and continue.
So it is a young guy. It's the first of the month. So he's going around to all of his college roommates trying to collect that rent money. But as you can guess from the title of the film, White and Lazy, he has trouble.
Oh yeah, I did. I read about this.
He can't get it. He can't get the money. All of his roommates are eccentrics, and they're just not having it. They either don't know that they're contesting the fact that it's the first of the month because they're going off of Gregorian calendars, or there's another guy where he's just like, no, I'm not gonna do it because he's built up a whole story and everything. He's gone deep into thought as to whether or not he should pay rent for this house to his landlord. And the main character, who is also the director, James Roond, he kind of plays it like it felt really, really familiar to me. He kind of plays it like a Kentucker Audley character, where he's kind of like, the mumbling, kind of
Mm-hmm.
quiet, and he's
Very
not really,
timid, yeah.
yeah, not really forcing the issue type deal. It feels like, I mean, you could essentially switch it out with Kentucker Audley, and it would be the same movie, I think. But it's there's a lot of what I would say promise there with the filmmaking style, but at the same time it's kind of light, where there's not a lot to do within the confines of the narrative that they have going on there. It's definitely worth a look. It's a good time. It's just, it doesn't elevate beyond that.
Okay. And
But it's
that's
definitely
White.
worth a look.
It's called White and Lazy. It's on No Budge, so you can check it out there. I'll start off with a biggie. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh shit. No budge
So,
straight into Marvel.
yeah. So, this one for me one-upped the original in almost every way. I liked the action more. I thought it was way funnier. I was laughing a lot, significantly more this time around. I thought that bringing in Kurt Russell as Chris Pratt's dad was awesome. That was a brilliant casting choice. It worked so well, and Kurt Russell's just, man, he's just so awesome. I just love Kurt Russell so much, and overall, it's just a great entry in the Marvel pantheon. I think you will, even though you were lukewarm on the original one, I think that you'll like this one because it's just a good time. It's like one of these movies where I feel like it's hard not to like it
Yeah.
because the characters are interesting and the dialogue is very snappy and very funny. I think it's a lot funnier than the first one. There was some, the whole Baby Groot thing was, I didn't find it to be overused. I wasn't as on board as everyone else with it,
How many
but
times does he say I'm Groot?
actually not a lot. Not nearly as much as the first one.
Now, is that because they restrain themselves, or because he hasn't learned to speak yet?
No, he can speak,
Okay.
but he's just not in it. He's not in it as much. There's one point where the story kind of splits into two, and you have two kind of concurrent plot lines that are happening at once, and one of those plot lines involves Rocket and Groot and Yondu, which is the Michael Rooker's character, which
Yeah.
he gets more screen time in this, because he was such an awesome character. He was one of my favorite characters in the first one, and he gets a lot more screen time in this. So I was very, very happy to see that the story actually involves him quite a bit. But
Okay.
yeah, Groot, I guess he's not in it as much. He doesn't do as much because he is a baby, so he just kind of hangs around, and they have to kind of babysit him a lot. But he doesn't say it nearly as much as in the original one.
Goodness.
They definitely restrain themselves with it. He still says it maybe half a dozen times, but it's not that bad. The in fact, the most interaction you see with Baby Groot is in the trailer, like the whole button thing where Rocket's telling him not to press the button and trying to, I'm talking. Did you see the trailer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Great movie overall. I had a really, really great time with it. Highly recommend checking it out in the theater because it's definitely one of these theater movies. I just love that it kind of plays with the whole 70s space opera vibe without directly ripping off of Star Wars. Like, it's not a Star Wars parody or anything like that. It feels, but it still has that kind of 70s vibe, you know, with the soundtrack and everything.
Yeah.
But really good time. Lots of crazy cameos and stuff in it. Sylvester Stallone's in it, which that was a surprise. But I would definitely recommend checking out Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I mean, especially if you even mildly liked the first one, I think that you'll find this one to be much more satisfying.
I'm so surprised that the woman from the the American independent film Sabbatical, she's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who is she?
Rhoda Griffiths plays Sniper Madame. I don't know who that is. She's in there.
What's the character?
Sniper Madame.
I do not recognize her in this movie. I have no idea.
She's completely covered in gold.
Could be, but I don't know.
Yes, I thought that was interesting to go down through and be like, that's the woman from Sabbatical.
I didn't realize that Rob Zombie was in it either. Like, I didn't recognize him.
He's an unseen. Well, I mean, his name is Unseen. So do you see him?
Yeah, you probably don't even see him. There's a lot of Ravagers in it. There's a whole bunch of Ravagers. So
he's one of the unseen ones.
He's probably covered in makeup too. Most of them are.
He probably just yells something from out of the frame.
David Hasselhoff's in it, and he plays himself.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's only for a second though, so it's not that bad. But I still could have done without it. It was a joke that didn't really work for me.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Stop that. Stop doing stuff like that.
It's nothing big. It's just like a second, so it doesn't matter. It's a throwaway thing.
Another short film that I saw is Jelly Wolf.
Oh, Jelly Wolf.
Jelly Wolf. This is directed by Alma Harrell, who you might know.
Love True.
Yeah.
Bombay Beach.
Yeah. So this is some sort of project in like the Tribeca Film Festival where like a director was teamed up with a brand, right? And they had to come up with a short film. And I guess her brand was Chanel.
Yes.
So she came up with a short film with Lisa Bonet and Kiersey Clemens. And number one, right off the bat, a fantastic color palette. It has a great look to it. And you're not 100% sure what's going on, where they're going with it and everything. But there's jellyfish involved and drinking electricity. And I guess just essentially having like a vision, maybe. And when that portion of the film, when it kicks over to her drinking the electricity and it kicks into like the vision thing and it just goes full on visual. I mean, damn, does it look good? It's just, you got the neon stuff going on. You got all these props. It's just something else.
I like that Chris Upson on Letterboxd, his review says Lemonade Blood Dragon DLC, which I appreciate that very much. That's a video game reference for you, Kevin.
I don't know what any of that means, except for the lemonade part. I guess is Beyonce.
There was a standalone DLC for Far Cry 3 called Blood Dragon that
everything.
It made the game. The game took place in the 80s, and it was this crazy neon sci-fi laser grid version of the future, and it was awesome. It had great style.
Huh. Well, Jelly Wolf. I would definitely check out Jelly Wolf.
Yeah, I didn't know this was available, so I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, I found this through shadowandact.com.
Okay.
Their blog.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give this a look. Love True, her latest documentary, is available on Netflix now too, I believe.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And I would
check that out then.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that one. That one's definitely worth a look. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I saw it at Tribeca last year. All right, I saw A Dark Song. This was released, I believe, last week on VOD. It's a horror film from Liam Gavin, and it stars Catherine Walker and Steve Oram, the guy from Sightseers.
Okay. All right.
Basically, the premise is this woman hires an occultist in order to do a ritual in order to evoke some dark entities in order for her to get revenge on some people that wronged her. I won't say what that entails, but the movie it's a very slow burn horror film that is basically the two leads held up in this farmhouse over the course of what appears to be months, doing these different rituals over and over and over again, and slowly things start to go terribly wrong. There's injuries, there's sicknesses, and things don't go as planned at all.
They never do.
And unlike another Evil, the finale on this one is pretty batshit. It is really out there, and I liked it tremendously. I think it was a really, really interesting way to conclude the film, because with this one, you're never really sure that what they're doing is real. Like you're never sure that this guy really knows what he's doing. Like he seems to know what these rituals are, but whether or not they're actually working, you have no idea. Aside from a few small things here and there that you're not even sure if that could be in her head, you just don't really know. And then eventually you find out, and it's pretty crazy. Really, this goes back to what I said in Another Evil, where one of the most interesting things about it was the procedure of everything. How the way that they do it is, so she rents this farmhouse and it's got all these rooms in it, and each room is like a different ritual. So they set up all these different rituals in order to evoke this being. And most of the movie is them doing the rituals and preparing to do their rituals, like getting things set up. And then it also kind of gets into the relationship that they have, because she doesn't know him at all when she hires him. He's just a dude that she hires. And because they have to spend so much time together, they start to get to know each other, and you start to learn their backstories and all of this stuff. And it's just really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it. IFC Midnight put it out. It's called A Dark Song.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think you would like it. It's definitely the kind of creepiness that you would like in a horror movie.
I'm looking forward. Another short film that I saw was a animated film called Double King. I don't know if you've heard of this. Apparently this came out, I guess, not too long ago, back at the beginning of April on YouTube. This is from an animator named Felix Colgrave, which apparently he has kind of like a somewhat of a following. And this is the first time I've ever seen one of his films, mostly because I kind of saw Double King pop up on Letterboxd a couple times here and there. And I'm just like, I guess I should give this a check it out. You know, it's free. It's right there on the YouTubes. I don't have to pay any money. I don't have to leave my seat. I can just check it out right now. Number one, it is right up my alley, artistry wise. Like the artwork is just, I love it. I absolutely love it. So essentially it could have been anything with that artwork and I would have loved it. Okay. Second, the animation is great. It's very fluid. The music's great. So the story is there's this guy, he's a king, but being a king isn't enough for him. So he essentially just goes around killing anyone that has a crown because he wants to collect all the crowns. He needs to be the king of everything. So he's just destroying everyone that has a crown. If he sees a crown, he's going to kill you and he's going to take that crown. Okay. That's what he does. He wants to be a double king. It's not enough for him to just be king. He wants to be double king and then triple king and then quadruple king. He just wants to level up constantly. So it has, it's got a fair amount of humor in there, but it's also got some violence, obviously, because if you're taking crowns from people that aren't willing to give them up, you're going to have to kill them. And they don't shy away from that. And it's just the characters, these animals, these kings. It's just, it has essentially everything that I'm looking for and everything that I wanted. It just really hit the spot. And it's just fantastic. It's one of my favorite things that I've seen this year.
Oh, wow. All right. So check that out.
I think you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'll it's about 10 minutes. I'll definitely give it a look.
Yeah.
And this is on YouTube?
on YouTube on his channel, his what I guess right channel, YouTube channels.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
I got it. I'm hip.
I know what's going on. I saw a movie called Like Me. This premiered at South by Southwest this year, and then it just recently screened at the Overlook Film Festival. I'm not sure if you were familiar with this one, Kevin, but it's like the Overlook Film Festival takes place in the hotel that.
Yeah.
It's not the Stanley Film Festival. It's actually different. The Overlook Hotel is the other hotel that was one of them is like where the Shining the book took place, and then the other one was like where they shot the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. This one, it was a new horror film festival, and I looked at the lineup. I don't know I can't remember if we reported on the lineup or not, but it was a really impressive lineup. Anyway, this screened there. This is directed by Robert Mockler. This is his first movie. So he wrote, directed, edited, and produced it. And we actually reported on this way back in March of 2013. It was a Kickstart Sunday pick. And this is back when it was originally a short film. Like he was pitching it as a short film on Indiegogo, and it got enough traction that he was able to then develop it into a feature. And Glass Eye Picks helped produce it, and that's Larry Fesseden's company. Mm-hmm. And Larry Fesseden is in this, which I realized after watching this that I saw 3 movies with Larry Fesseden in a matter of 2 days. So I saw a lot of Fesseden lately, which I'm not complaining about. He's always a welcome addition in any movie.
He's kind of in everything too. So.
Oh yeah. So this movie is about this girl named Kaya who is obsessed with being popular on YouTube. So she creates a YouTube channel. She makes this video of her sort of terrorizing this gas station attendant who's actually played by Jeremy Gardner, the director of The Battery. Mm-hmm. And that video garners millions of views on YouTube. So she kind of wants to continue doing this and one-upping her game. And she sort of goes on this little bit of a crime spree. And the film just kind of follows her as she goes on this crime spree. She ends up kidnapping a hotel manager, that's played by Larry Fesseden, ties him to a bed and forces him to eat candy until he vomits everywhere, and then takes him on a road trip. And basically the movie's just about how fame hungry young people are when it comes to social media and the kind of dangers that could result in nothing we haven't seen before. The character development's pretty slim in this too. Like I felt like especially Kaya, the main character, I felt like she was a little bit underdeveloped, but the thing that this movie really has going for it is the visuals. Like the look of this movie is really impressive. And that was one of the things that drew me to it back when we were picking it as our Kickstart Sunday pick back then. It is the visuals were just so strong. Like everything is just drenched in color. Everything is so bright and vibrant and like neon. It's like a cooler version of Only God Forgives or something. But the visuals really impressed me. There was a scene at the beginning where he's using, I mean, I don't know if he just did it, if it was a camera trick or if he actually did have the rig where the room looks like it's spinning, like upside down. Mm-hmm. And that looked really awesome. And he uses a lot of really kind of surreal nightmare imagery throughout the movie. Like there's just random cutaways to like kind of gross, weird stuff. And he uses like animation in it. And in my review, I have a review up on the site for this. I kind of described it as a Natural Born Killers, but for the digital age.
Gotcha.
So it had that kind of vibe to it, you know, like not the same tone necessarily. And then the plot was certainly different, but just the look, like pure visuals. It reminded me of Natural Born Killers with the random cutaways and stuff like that. So I would give it probably a light recommend. I think that this is an impressive debut for somebody who this is their first project. The performances were fine. I just thought that it was a bit lacking in plot and character development, but visuals, it was on point. So again, that's Like Me. That's not out yet. It's still on a festival run. So just keep an eye out for it. I'm not sure what the release status is of that just yet. It's not for you. I'll tell you that.
Okay. You're clear.
Yeah.
That shit in mind. That's all I got.
Okay. That's all I got too. So let's move on. Talk about some new releases next week. May 10th, we have Manifesto. That's the one with Cate Blanchett, where she plays 13 different characters. I saw this at Tribeca. I didn't actually get to writing a review for this one. I might write a review for it when it comes out next week. I don't know really what to say about it. It began as an art installation, and as such, it doesn't really feel like a movie. It just feels like different segments that are kind of sewn together.
Yeah, they just kind of forced it.
It's really
that's what I was kind of thinking when I read about it and stuff. I was like, it seems like you just forced this into theaters.
Right, and that's what it felt like to me. Obviously, Cate Blanchett does an amazing job. Every character that she plays is wildly different than the last in this movie, and she plays a dude in one of them too. She plays a guy, and it's like very, very convincing. And so she's phenomenal. I mean, like, it's award-worthy performances from her. The segments themselves are sometimes very funny, sometimes very interesting, and sometimes a little dull. And the other thing that's really strong is the music. I really enjoyed the music in this. The score felt like something that Warp Records would put out. It's got this kind of harsh, like, industrial electronic sound to it, like not Aphex Twin, maybe like a little, maybe Aphex Twin, but there was like another band,
Square Pusher,
maybe a little Square Pusher, but there's another band too that Warp has. It's like Audiker or something.
Audiker, yeah,
like maybe something like that. But it's fantastic. Also visually, this movie is amazing. It's got some really amazing cinematography in it. So it's got a lot going for it. Just don't expect there to be any kind of decent narrative going on, because it's not really all it is Cate Blanchett playing different characters, reciting the manifesto of different artists. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like predicting whether or not you would like this, like something like this could really go either way for you, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like I would hate it. It sounds awful to me. But I don't know. I could be surprised. I don't know.
I would be curious to hear your thoughts on it. Maybe, I don't know if I don't think it's getting a VOD release next week. Maybe if it is, we can talk about it on the show. All right. We also have The Drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Not this one doesn't look great. It's with Julie Stiles, I think. It's like a thriller. We got King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. It's the new Guy Ritchie one. Stay tuned to Ryan Watches the movie this week. We'll be talking about that. Snatched. It's the new Amy Schumer, Goldie Hawn comedy about two crazy women getting kidnapped, and I don't know where they go. Somewhere in South America, maybe?
Yeah.
That's a pass for me.
Yeah, hard pass. Anything with fucking Amy Schumer. God.
Not a fan? Not a fan of the Shoom?
Oh, I hate her comedy so much.
The funny thing about Amy Schumer is she's one of those comedians that I tried to force myself to like her.
She's like, I got to board this train. Got to get on this Schumer train. Which, I mean, it seemed like she was fucking everywhere, and now she's nowhere.
Well, I don't know if her show is coming back or what.
Even like this movie, I never fucking heard of this movie.
Really?
It's just kind of like,
I saw a bunch of trailers for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not interested in it, but the trailer certainly didn't do it for me. We also have The Wall, Absolutely Anything, which is that Simon Pegg one where I don't know what it is. He's able to say anything and it'll happen or something like that. Is that what it is?
His career is going straight down the toilet.
Some of these Simon Pegg movies, I'm just like, what? What? Oh, that's right. It's the one that's directed by Terry Jones.
Well, it's funny because, like, one poster, you're like, oh, okay, it's got Terry Jones, John Cleese. There's so many people involved with this. Okay. And then there's the other poster where it's like his glowing hand with a dog that has glasses. It's just,
yeah.
It's like it's a straight to DVD Disney Channel movie, maybe. I'm so confused.
This is the last movie role of Robin Williams. He does the voice of the dog.
Now, doesn't it seem like there's been like 6 movies that have come out and claimed that?
This is the actual one though.
Okay.
Well, this came out over in the UK like a long time ago. This movie's been this thing's been in the can forever. But I think that it wasn't very good and they just didn't I think it's just getting dumped into theaters now just to make some money.
Oh god.
Let's see what else we got here. Low Riders. Hounds of Love, which is one that I talked about in my Tribeca coverage. I would recommend checking this one out. This is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. I don't know how many reviews that is, but it's still really impressive. This is definitely worth a look.
Yeah, I want to see this one.
Yeah.
This one looks interesting.
Folk Hero and Funny Guy. This is the comedy with
Karpovsky.
Yeah, Alex Karpovsky.
Who's that other guy?
It's the guy from Everybody Wants Some. I can't remember his name, but this looks decent. Looks mildly funny. Violet.
Wyatt Russell.
Yeah. Violet. This is one that I'm definitely interested in. This is
good things about this one.
Yeah, it's about a kid who gets assaulted. Or no, his best friend gets assaulted, but they don't do anything to him, and he's trying to figure out why they didn't attack him. Looks like sort of a coming of age story, but looks really good. So I'm pretty excited to see that one. Dead Awake, not too sure what that is. The Wedding Plan, I think that's I want to say it's an Israeli romantic comedy, maybe.
Okay.
Israeli rom-com.
Yeah, sure, why not? 30 days, one wedding, no groom. The Wedding Plan. Gotta find yourself a groom.
I think that played Tribeca too, but I was like, nope. Tracktown. This is another kind of coming of age comedy about a track star. The interesting thing about this one is that it's actually written, directed, and stars an actual track star who was in the who was like, I don't know if she was in the Olympics or qualified to be in the Olympics. So that's kind of interesting, but I looked at the trailer and that doesn't do it for me. Like, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a comedy or not from the trailer. Like, I legitimately, it wasn't like it was jokes that weren't landing, but it was like, is it supposed to be funny or is it supposed to be sincere? I can't tell at all. Whiskey Galore. This is one with I
like the sound of that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look great. It's with Eddie Izzard, and it's like based on
a true story.
Yeah, but I think it was like a play or something, maybe, or maybe a book. Either way, it actually doesn't look that interesting to me. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
VOD next week, we have Black Site Delta coming out on May 9th. That has kind of a cool poster, but I checked out the trailer and it looks really bad. Tracktown comes out on the 12th, as does Folk Hero and Funny Guy.
Okay. All right.
So maybe we'll check that out next week on the show. Folk Hero and Funny Guy. The one guy is a folk singer. The other guy is a comedian. They decided to go on tour together.
It's a fucking stupid title.
It is a really bad title. I will agree with that. Terrible. All right, next week on Blu-ray. This is for Tuesday, May 9th. 50 Shades Darker.
Ooh.
Let's get darker.
Watch out. Gonna be whips and whatnot.
I haven't seen either of them, and I really don't know too much about what happens, but I would like to imagine it gets really fucking dark, like a Serbian film dark.
Damn.
And
crazy if they took that route. You know
That's
what
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying. Like if I like on a whim or whatever, I decided to just watch one of these, and it was like that, just because there's so much mainstream appeal to
that would be
this series.
that would
I'd be
man,
rethinking everything in society.
yeah, because you'd be thinking like, why are all these middle-aged women are really into this book? Jesus Christ, what's
He's
going on?
beheading people and having sex with their corpses.
It's fucking terrible.
All right, what else do we got here? Brain Damage from 1988 is coming out on Arrow Blu-ray.
Yes, please.
I've never seen that.
I haven't either, but I just imagine that it's great.
Yeah. Well, remember when we did our Halloween episode, that was gonna be one of the ones that we watched.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see this one for quite some time.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I want to take off my list of shame. Heat from 1995 is getting a release on Blu-ray. This is the director's definitive edition remastered. So looks like that's going to be the penultimate version of Heat, if you want to check that out. Man, it's been so many years since I've seen that movie. I should pick that up.
It should be the end all be all, not the penultimate. It should be the end all be all.
End all be all version.
Yeah.
Serial Mom Collector's Edition comes out on Blu-ray.
That's right up your alley, right?
Oh yeah.
You a big fan of Serial Mom?
Love Serial Mom.
That's one thing I know about you.
Yep. Love Serial Mom. I
saw
part of it when I was little. When it first came out, I saw part of it and it scared me.
There's a couple facets to your personality, and I know that that's one of them.
Serial Mom love? I mean, it's not like my favorite movie or anything. It's not even my favorite John Waters movie, but I'm a pretty big fan of Serial Mom. I think it's pretty funny.
The image that I have of you is that it is a big part of your life, and it is your favorite.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. I like the movie, but it's not a big part of my life.
Damn it, I don't know you.
No. The 1998 version of Psycho is coming out. That's the Gus Van Sant one. I don't know why, but it's coming out.
Maybe we should just all agree that never happened.
Yeah. What else do we got here? A Street Cat Named Bob. That's coming out.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. We're getting re-releases of the Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones, just because the new one's coming out soon. Got a ton of anime, including free Iwatobi Swim Club.
Okay.
So that looks incredibly homoerotic. Could be a good time. Update on One Punch Man. I finished the first season, and it's fantastic. It ends amazingly. But now the shitty thing is there is only one season. So the second they're in the process of making the second season, but it's not out yet. So I ended up searching for the next two volumes of the manga because they're up to volume 11 on the manga. And I found this really awesome Japanese bookstore near my apartment yesterday. Yeah. It's called Kinokuniya. Yeah. And it's huge. It's got like a cafe in it and everything. Giant Japanese bookstore. They got so much cool shit in there. It's right by Bryant Park if you're interested.
Okay. All right. I want to give an update here. I want to give a little bit more information about a street cat named Bob. So this is about the recovering drug addict whose life has turned around when he befriends this stray cat named Bob, right? So I'm like, oh, who's directing this sucker? It's the guy that directed Turner and Hooch.
Oh.
And Stop or My Mom Will Shoot with Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty. And Tomorrow Never Dies. It's the guy that directed Tomorrow Never Dies.
All right.
James Bond, Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Now he's doing a street cat named Bob. So
something tells me that movie is probably better than the title and the cover would suggest.
Maybe. I don't know.
I just have a weird feeling that it's better than that. Because when I see a street cat named Bob, the only thing I can think of is a talking cat. Like, that's what I think of when I see that. And I know it has to be better than that.
It would be great to be like at the end of the year, all the year-end list. Everyone's like, a street cat named Bob. And we're just sitting there like, oh, what?
Indie Pick of the Week. A street cat named Bob.
Roger Spottiswoode is back.
We were talking about Simon Pegg and his recent choices in movies, and A Fantastic Fear of Everything is coming out on Blu-ray as well. Now, I saw Fantastic Fear of Everything, and I could not believe what I was watching. It is so awful.
You're going to tell me that he's in A Street Cat Named Bob.
That'd be funny. I bet A Street Cat Named Bob is better than The Fantastic Fear of Everything.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Although he does, the cat's wearing a dumb little sweater in the thing. And it looks like his tail is incredibly long. Just the way that it's proportioned in the cover. Anyway, what do we have on Criterion next week?
We have one, and that is the Blu-ray release of Aquaman's Jean Dielman, which might be like one of the best movies ever made, or definitely, one of the most important films ever. Finally getting that Blu-ray.
I swear to God that they... I feel like every week Criterion is releasing a new version of Jean Dielman. Like, I don't understand. I feel like I just keep seeing this movie pop up.
I know. And I thought the same thing too. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we already had a Blu-ray of this. But apparently not. I don't know. Apparently not. But it seems like I've announced this title, 5 or 6 times now over the course of our 252 podcasts.
Yeah, it's weird. Everything comes back to Two Broke Girls and Jean Dielman.
That's right. That's our through lines. and rerun.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Send us your questions and topics to the podcast at filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter at filmpulsenet and at filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/filmpulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We will see you next week.